The Draw 3D Curve command in Microsurvey CAD solves the issue of not being able to create 3D arcs. I've got a cul-de-sac drawn here, and all the line work you see in white is just in 2 dimensions. But obviously my point nodes have elevation, and I'd like to connect them using 3D line work. Now there's 2 considerations that need to be made before you start. First, we need to make sure that 2D draw mode is turned off. You can do so by coming up to the MS Tools ribbon, choosing System Toggles, coming over to CAD Drawing Controls, and then just confirm that 2D draw mode is shut off. The second is that when you're creating the curves, you're going to need a start point, an intermediate point, and an end point of the curve. The intermediate point does not need to be a midpoint of the curve or arc, but it must land on the radius. So we'll start the command by coming over to the Draw 3D ribbon. We'll choose Draw 3D Curve. I'm going to be using my node snap only so that I don't mistakenly snap to a 2-dimensional line. I want to snap right to the point node with elevation. So I'll pick my first point, then I'm going to type L in the command line for line. Now I'll pick my second point. Now if I zoom in, we can see we're starting the curves now. So because I'm starting a curve or an arc, I'm going to type A in the command line and hit enter. I'll pick my intermediate point and then my end point. I'll continue in the arc, come around, pick my next intermediate point and my end point. Now we can see in red that the curve has been divided up into individual line segments shown in red here. By default, there'll be 8 line segments defining the curve, but that might not be a high enough resolution for some cases, such as this. We can see there's definitely a very big gap between the line work and the actual arc. So what we want to do is come down to our command line and type CO for coarseness. We can see that it's set to -8. Now the dash will denote the number of sections that are used up, or the number of segments that are used to define the curve. So for example, I could put -20. We can see that there are now much smaller red lines for the line segments. 20 in total, in fact. Now the other way to denote this, or to edit this rather, would be to type CO for coarseness, and instead of using the dash, I'll just type 1, and that'll draw a 1-foot line segment, or each line segment will become 1 foot. This is a US feet drawing, so if it were meters it would be 1 meter. I'll hit enter, and without the dash that's going to denote the length of each line segment. So I'll continue on with my arc, pick my intermediate point, and my end point. Now we can see in blue, the light turquoise blue, there's a preview of what the curve will actually look like. If I move my mouse, or zoom out rather, it'll disappear. If I want to bring that preview back, I can type R for redraw. Then we can see it's generated again. So to finish this off, I'll switch back into line mode by typing L in my command line, hit enter, pick the last point here, and then I'll close it off using C. Now before we escape out of the command, it's very important that we type D for draw, and that'll actually draw the 3D curves. So we can see now they've been displayed in red. So if I zoom out a bit and rotate my view, we can see the white 2D line work down at the bottom, and then up at elevation we've got our new 3D curve. Zoom in a little bit and we can see if we select it, it's actually a polyline. A regular arc, if you set the elevation of the start point, it has to maintain that elevation all the way through. So that's just a general overview of the 3D curve function in Microsurvey CAD.